Hello. Let's
Go ahead.
let's wait for a few minutes, for a few seconds. So
Yeah.
and share it on. Let's share this video as soon as it comes live, and share it on our profile, and I'll share it on my company page too.
Yeah.
And after that,
Maybe
let's
is doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever you're ready.
Yeah. Okay. So should we start?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Welcome, Diego. My name is Mohammad Ali Toosy, and with me is Diogo Jorge. We both did our master black belt together back in 2019 December.
Yeah.
And we had a nice experience. We stayed in the same. We stayed in the same hotel. We used to go together, and we went through the final learning journey of our Lean Six Sigma master black belt together.
Yeah.
And I would like to actually ask Diogo Jorge to first tell his academic background and his journey. Then I would actually talk about my academic background and my journey.
Yeah.
Please, over to you, Diego.
Thank you, Mohammad Toosy, for friends, right? Yeah. First of all, thank you for your invitation. We decided together to call this event or this live session, entitling it as "To Evolve, You Need to Change," and how Lean Six Sigma is useful for a tool for nowadays challenges. Thank you, Toosy. My academic background, basically, not telling you, of course, since the beginning of my life, but my academic background, basically, I took my master in mechanical engineering at Técnico University, which for me and for a lot of Portuguese engineers is the best engineering school in Portugal. And then, beside other small courses, I decided to take on the journey of Lean Six Sigma, which firstly I took the green belt also at IST at Técnico University, and then I thought that would be better to take the other levels of the course, black belt and master black belt, in the UK with let's say a renowned enterprise, which would also give me other experiences and forced me to talk in English, to go to see and experience other realities. So about my professional background, of course, not mentioning other professional experiences, I've founded Erising. I co-founded Erising with my associate, who is called Paulo Peças, and Erising is now 3 years old. And basically we work on Lean Six Sigma projects, besides also other projects as are within the R&D area. I am also a project manager and a researcher at Técnico University. So Paulo also invited me to be part of his scientific scientific sector of the university. Mohammad, back to you.
Yes, really nice. Actually, I knew some of it, but not that in totality, because we were discussing back during when we were studying our Lean Six Sigma things and a bit of the personal stuff and a bit of actually our life. So, well, my background, I studied from Punjab College of Business Administration, my business degree. And then I worked in Crestsoft. I worked in QMS 9000. I went to University of Surrey. I did my MBA from there. And my thesis was on the role of leadership in resistance to change. I then became a quality manager in Critical Software Technologies, which was a sister company of Critical Software. Critical Software is it's in Portugal, and I've been to Portugal. And it seems that everyone over there in Portugal, most of the people I know who in Portugal are scientists, because all the Critical Software Technologies were scientists, and that was actually also a project. Critical Software Technology was actually a PhD turned into a business. A PhD thesis turned into a business, and Critical Software, obviously, you might already know that it works for NASA. It works for NASA.
Years ago now, right?
Yeah, and now it's actually pretty big now. So I worked there. I've been there, and then I joined a telco company, which at that time we called Jazz, Mobilink. Now it's called Jazz. I then went to work in I2C, just a payment processor in the financial sector, and then I worked for a microfinance bank, which is Finca Microfinance Bank in Pakistan, and after that I started my own venture.
Okay.
So that's my academic credentials. And well, in 2008, I became a black belt. So I've been doing Six Sigma project ever since. And sometimes I've been doing more, sometimes I've been doing less. So the journey wasn't all Six Sigma, but I did quite a lot of projects, and I've delivered a lot of trainings on Six Sigma. I formed my company, Toosy Advisory Services, last year. I am also the country representative of Pakistan for Institute of Change and Transformation Professionals Asia.
Okay.
And just like Diego, we did our Master Black Belt from Game Change Lean Six, Game Change UK. And for me, it's really interesting. Yeah. It was interesting because the curriculum was unique and the experience was unique. And there's another thing. You might remember, I was born in Dewsbury. I told you I was born in Dewsbury, which is right next to Bradford. So it was interesting. It was interesting to complete a professional qualification near my birthplace.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I appreciated on your journey as a Lean Six Sigma professional was that you took your black belt back in 2008 or something that you just mentioned, but now when you came to Bradford, you did not only took your master black belt, but you decided to renovate, to refresh your knowledge about black belt. So you took both sequentially. So you refreshed your black belt and then took your master black belt. So I think this is let's say something that people should have constantly in mind, is that life is a continuous learning journey, right? So
oh yes, and I would actually I would add on that. I did my black belt, a refresher in black belt, so that I get updated. Then I did my master black belt, and after that I did something else. I have since prepared. Remember, we were talking about creating back at that time, creating my own training material. I've created my own training material, and I have created that training material from 52 unique books.
Okay.
I've used 52 books to create the training material, to compile it, and I have added the latest. I have added the latest things in it. Some things which were published in March 2020.
Very nice. Yeah. You are also now promoting a Lean Six Sigma Green Belt course together with AIT Extension. So very nice, and congratulations, Toosy.
Thank you
about that. I think that now in our live session we had two major themes that we would like to discuss, right, Toosy? The first was what was your experience prior and after your Lean Six Sigma journey, academic journey or learning journey, let's say. What was your experience prior and after? I don't know. You've started with the presentation and sent back to me. Now I send back to you. What was your experience prior and after your Lean Six Sigma journey as
I
an apprentice
Yeah,
back then?
I think this is a big difference. It's a big difference because once you've attained the highest skill set level, a certification of the highest skill set level, people treat you differently. Your depth of skill is different. Your depth of knowledge is different. Your attitude completely changes. And since then, I have been very careful about one thing: that whenever I talk about something, it has to be accurate, because then once you're a master black belt, you have something, you have a responsibility associated with it.
Yeah.
If something is going wrong, if there's something wrong, you say, okay, I won't be a part of it. Or if someone is saying wrong in front of you, you have to either give a disclaimer or actually tell that this is something which is, I don't agree to it. Otherwise, it gets associated with you. Like I have created a brand. After coming from Game Change, Lean Six Sigma, all the journey. We, Asian Institute of Technology and Toosy Advisory Services, they created a Lean Six Sigma Academy, where we are going to initially digitally deliver trainings for Lean Six Sigma Green Belt, Black Belt, change management, and then hopefully once COVID-19 finishes, I'll be going there maybe once a month or something like that, and delivering sessions over there in Thailand.
Yeah.
So it's important. It's important to maintain that the accuracy. It's important to maintain the accuracy. It is important to make sure that whatever I say, whatever I do is right. Otherwise, the credibility would go. And another thing which I've actually realized ever since, that we have a responsibility. You and me and all the master black belts have a responsibility. We have attained the higher skill set level, but that doesn't mean the learning journey finishes. That means that after a certain skill set level, our journey is actually starting of learning. And unless we don't keep on updating our skills, use our skills, update our skills, and share our skills, we would not be able to retain the status of being guru. Like Lean Six Sigma
If we
Master
don't
Black Belt
share
is a
it with
guru status.
people, if we don't lead people, and if we don't share knowledge with people, I think together alone, a master black belt does not is not
Yes,
able to do anything. So we have to involve people and know how to lead them, right?
yes, that's
Yeah,
right. We need to share. We need to learn, because the highest level skill set is of knowledge. The highest level of knowledge you attain when you actually are able to teach it and teach it well.
yeah,
So
exactly.
that's what we've actually been doing as black belts.
Yeah,
But obviously, as a master black belt, we were actually assessed more rigorously,
of
and we
course.
had to do all the presentations. Remember those presentations, and which were actually marked.
Yeah. In the exam, it's
That's
yeah.
right, and the exam.
I think for my experience before and after being a master black belt, uh, I think that before, let's say my first contact with lean philosophy was in college, where I initially started that journey in production management chair. So Paulo, my associate, is a teacher, and I started that journey there. And afterwards, my passion grew about this area relating with efficiency, resources efficiency, people's empowerment, and information flowing correctly. So I took my master thesis in lean manufacturing, of course, in injection molding company here in Portugal. Uh, and I think that after creating Erising, I found that lean was an excellent approach to solve problems related with waste and time. But I found that it wasn't enough to solve problems with which the root cause was related with variability, you know. And
Yes.
statistically speaking, Six Sigma was a much better approach for those kind of problems. And of course, combining Lean and Six Sigma, which is very
The best of all worlds.
yeah, exactly. I think a very powerful work frame was built, and so that's why I decided to take on this journey to get Lean Six Sigma certified. You know, uh, I think that after being a master black belt, besides of introducing or introduction Six Sigma on our project as Erising, right? Um, which was obviously a major advantage in relation with what was before. I think myself, I got out with a much more analytical mind and with a better capability of problem solving, of seeing the path that we should do and go towards the problem solving, you know. Of course, and this is one of the major takeouts, was that after me being a master black belt, I could much better understand people's mindset and how to deal with the mindset of people every time, you know. So nowadays, me and Paulo, we find Lean Six Sigma so important that each and every collaborator of Erising has at least the Lean Six Sigma green belt. So yeah,
That's impressive. And
yeah,
that's
that's
actually impressive. I remember I recently actually interacted with one of your marketing team, and it was really impressive that Margarita had a green belt, because when the person who's doing your marketing also understands the basics, that person can do the marketing better, because it's just all about know your I mean, she knows the product. She
yeah,
knows the product. She knows the basics. Okay, not in depth, but she knows the basics
yeah,
about what you're trying to sell and what you're trying to do. And that is exactly why it is one of the best combinations, is that your marketing team understands the product instead
yeah.
of just understanding marketing itself.
Yeah, of course. I think also that one of the other major takeouts from this Lean Six Sigma journey is that this not only applies to Lean Six Sigma, but also to other problem solving methodologies. But it is that to solve a problem, I think that people should first focus on what is the actual problem, what is the actual problem definition, and which are the root causes of that problem. Only after we should think about the solution itself. We should not just jump up to the solution and then you've solved the problem, but the root cause was not that one, and then you don't have your problem solved. You have two problems to solve. So
Oh yes, and that's the way of problem solving, in which you're problem solving because the becomes a problem, because the wastage, your problem solving itself becomes a wastage when you have tried to change something, and by changing that, the problem is still there. That is exactly why whenever the magnitude is huge, whenever it is complex, Six Sigma works much better in such a scenario,
yeah,
and that's the beauty of it. And yeah,
yeah,
I personally think, to add whatever you're saying, is that a person becomes much more analytical when they go through the Lean Six Sigma belts than before, and the person starts understanding things and mentally gets able to look at granular level things, like
yeah.
basic
They
granular
get
level things.
a
Yes,
structured way of thinking, so it's not
yes,
jump up to conclusions. You
yes.
go through steps, and you can analyze in each phase what should we do in order to solve the problem in the end. But that's the end, right? Before you have to define, measure, analyze. So yeah, I agree with your.
That's right.
With your
And I think my personal view is that we are actually living through a very big problem, and that problem is we everywhere in the world. I'm pretty sure it must be in Portugal too. We're all hit by COVID-19.
Yeah.
And because of COVID-19, a lot of companies are thinking of layoffs. I talked to a friend of mine who works in a huge company. They're expecting 30,000 layoffs.
Yeah.
30,000 layoffs, one company. Now,
That-
when such a situation is going to come, when your major corporations would start have to laying people off, who would be laid off? A person who has an analytical mind or a person who does not have an analytical mind? A
Yeah.
person who can think beyond his normal job or a person who can actually think much more in a better way than a normal person? Because I think Lean Six Sigma having, even if you're not a practitioner, a full-time practitioner like us, as a master black belt, if you have a green belt, if you have a black belt, you have better chances, because that displays that you can think beyond the normal. You could think deeper. You can become analytical, and this analytical mindset and the understanding of people is a certain skill set which the modern knowledge economy needs.
Yeah.
You're
For sure, in this particular crisis, in this particular time, having such a degree, even just green belt, right, is a major advantage in relation with other, let's say, normal employers, right? Employees.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Just look. Yeah, just look. There's if you look at the job descriptions, I'm not sure about Portugal, but if you look at the job descriptions in England of a business analyst, at least 30% would say, and I checked it from a sample on a website, at least 30% would say they would prefer someone who has a Lean Six Sigma green belt, because that Lean Six Sigma green belt has transferable skills which a person would be using in analyzing a business. So that's exactly what it's needed. You could do it to get into the mainstream solving, or you could do it to get the data analytics or problem solving things. And by the way, part of the curriculum which I am using comes from the data sciences books, because interestingly, when I started exploring, I found out that data sciences has a lot of things which is similar to what we have done. So I took a lot of material from there, and I just made it in such a way that it fuses and it adds up. So it's not isolation. A lot of people actually sometimes come up and say that maybe Six Sigma has died down because of the big data, the data sciences, the artificial intelligence, machine learning.
You have to
I don't think
structured way of.
You still have to do a structured way, and at the same time, there's another thing. Unless you do not get the right data, you would not be able to use the right data. So Six Sigma is not only about data analysis, it's also about how to make sure you get the right data.
Yeah.
Because machine learning could actually get as much as good you would give it, it could actually not go beyond that.
Yeah. And when we talk about the 7 ways of lean, that typically also you there is the 8th of talent. Nowadays, people talk also about the data trash, right? The 9th waste, which is the data trash. So there are so many data. There is so much data that you have to know what to look for. So if you don't know what to solve. So yeah,
Yes.
this takes us to, I think, one of the other. This is the second major theme that we would like to present or to discuss in this live session, which is how Lean Six Sigma is important even now more during the COVID-19, and in particular, Erising, what we did at first, we did not, of course, we were concerned as everybody else was. We were concerned, but the first thing that we did was to try and help with what we could to help our government, our public organizations to protect them. So the first thing we did was to help and produce and deliver face shields with firstly with 3D printing technologies back in the university, and then with injection molding high production plants, right, of injection molding. We produced let's say for 3D was like 2000 face shields that we offered, and through injection molding was more than 100,000. So the first thing we did was, okay, let's try and help. Of course, pro bono. We and our partners in this pandemic situation, we were all working pro bono, and that was the first thing that we did. But I look with to this pandemic situation, let's say, in a survive and thrive way of thinking. Okay, survive and then thrive. This was a major learning that I had with a company which is called Action Code. And talking about the survival, let's say, companies had to survive this, or else they would go bankrupt, right? So we did ourselves an exercise of rethinking the business and thinking how could we, let's say, adapt to this new reality. And let me put this in the Mike cycle way of thinking, rethinking the business. And for those who don't know, the Mike cycle is the cycle in which Lean Six Sigma is based on, and it means D is for define, M is for measure, A for analyze, I is for improvement, and C for control. So very quickly, in the define phase, what we did was to manage our team's mindset. People were concerned what was going to happen, so we keep our daily meetings, keep meeting frequently, so that we would, and when I talk team, me included, we would be with energy and with a good mindset. Then we needed to change our business in order to maintain liquidity and stuff. So we listened to the voice of customer, and we knew that our strategy must align with these new realities. So we needed to, in measure, let's say, and analyze. We needed to survey our clients and make a root cause analysis to foresee why were our clients struggling, why were they stopping our projects, and was it the fact that they needed to work remotely, lack of budget, lack of motivation, change of priorities. So we need to measure or to survey and afterwards to analyze what was they're struggling on continuing working with us. We went to the improve part. So we came up with a new service which is called Erising Remote Assistance. Okay, and with three major and complementary areas, which is remote monitoring, remote solution, and remote guidance, all of course related with Lean Six Sigma methodologies. And this way was when we started to change from survival mode to thrive mode. So we needed to talk with the clients that we had so that they could be, we needed to ask them for bigger involvement as they helped us to get data remotely and stuff. But for the change to thrive was, where could we get new leads? Where could we particularly get new customers? So we come up with this marketing strategy with webinars, where we actually are inside one right now, or live session, posts related with pandemic situation, scientific papers. So this was our journey as a surviving to survive, let's say, this COVID 19 thing. So I'm quite I quite enjoyed this journey right now, and I think we are being, let's say, successful in overcoming this situation. So
Yes, nice. Actually, I would like to actually talk about my experience too about this COVID-19. Well, one thing is for sure that I actually believe that Lean Six Sigma and change management, the things which we talk about quite a lot, are even more relevant than anything else.
yeah,
Post COVID, even during COVID, everyone is going to there are business losses everywhere. Worldwide, there are business losses. We can't hide from that. So the reality is that when you are the lean strategy is about gaining a competitive advantage by offering better quality products at a competitive price and making a sustainable profit by eliminating waste through engaging employees, discovering deeper ways to think about their own jobs and smarter ways of working together. In the current form, lean is radically effective, but its two powers is needed to be harnessed, because now before than any time it is needed. You need to relate to your consumer, you need to empathize with your consumer, you need to know your consumer. The customer experience is going to become even more important, because now the market conditions might be tougher. They're going to be way tougher than before, and because they're tougher than before, you just can't have the same can't have the same complacency. We are not going to be operating in an environment where we used to be operating. We are at the moment working in an environment in such a way that that a lot of businesses are going bust. A lot of people are going to have to lay off. A lot of people are going to have some survival business recovery plan. And I personally think that Lean Six Sigma and change management is an essential skill to have, an essential part of every strategy which you have to have in your business recovery plan.
yeah.
And what I did in my this during the lockdown. Well, I don't have a big team like you, but I came up. I collaborated. Yeah, I collaborated. I collaborated with my with people, and I engaged even more. During COVID-19, the discussion started for the Lean Six Sigma Academy with Asian Institute of Technology, Thailand, which is a university, the AIT extension, which is a training and consulting wing of AIT.
Yeah.
Them, I had discussions with them. We have brought up a product, and that product is basically the Lean Six Sigma Academy, in which we have offerings about the Lean Six Sigma Black Belt, Lean Six Sigma Green Belt, Lean Six Sigma Yellow Belt, and maybe in the future we're going to have the Lean Startup, we're going to have Lean IT, we're going to have things like that. And we've also added a course which is called Fun of Change, which is basically fundamentals of change. And
with Ron Lehman.
Yeah, with Ron Lehman.
Yeah.
He's actually a very
live set or your webinar the other day, and
yeah.
Your
He was an interesting person. He's an interesting person.
Yeah.
And we're gonna try to bring more courses other than that. So in every problem there's an opportunity, and I have seen it even more. I've seen it even more than before, that Lean Six Sigma is needed, because it's about survival. You can't be complacent. And another very interesting thing was with a feedback which I got, because when we actually announced that we are having a very heavily, including pretty heavily in our Lean Six Sigma course material, change management in that, And a lot of practitioners, change management practitioners, Lean Six Sigma black belts, including some practitioners in Europe, in leading institutions in Europe, they said this is a very good idea. You change management is the basic problem, that engaging with people, engaging with stakeholders is the biggest hurdle you have whenever towards the success of a project.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not only the technical things which pulls you back. It's also the soft side of any project.
Yeah. It makes perfect sense, yeah, to combine. Although Lean Six Sigma also, some way or another, takes in account people's mindset and I think a little bit also about change management. But
Yes.
I see the purpose of you combining Lean Six Sigma and in a particular way with change management, because if people don't get motivated with the change that is happening, the project and the solutions that are coming won't matter, won't be implemented. So again, although I think that Lean Six Sigma has its way of dealing with people's behavior, I see your point, and I think it's very much important the combining those skills, let's say Lean Six Sigma and change management. Yeah, I agree, and that's
Yes.
so much important in this
Yes, it's very
struggling.
important. And interestingly, Lean Six Sigma, the game change where we did our Lean Six, I did my refresher of my black belt, and
Yeah,
I did my master black. We both did our master black belt there, and you actually did your black belt from there too. They
yeah,
already had change management because, interestingly, the traditional material, if you go for others, most of them they don't have change management heavily involved. But the interesting thing was that in every phase, Kamran used to say change management, also
yeah,
talk
yeah.
about the change management analysis. And even in the master black belt, change management was a full module. It was a complete module within all the
In
other things,
master
just
black
like
belt,
advanced
yeah,
statistics.
yeah,
Change
yeah.
management was
Just
heavily there.
on getting soft skills on how to lead people through the journey of change and through the journey
Yes.
of Lean Six Sigma. Yeah, for sure. Uh, Toosy, I think that we've discussed all we had to discuss. I don't know if maybe you have any other subject, or we could.
Yeah, I would just thank all the viewers. I would thank all the viewers for listening, and I would put this on my YouTube channel, and I'm sure that I'm sure that Diego would also put it somewhere on YouTube, or if not on his website or someplace
Yeah,
wherever he can.
yeah.
So
Maybe we
thank you.
can also to see. Just I agree completely. We agree. We will do that. But maybe we could also answer here some question. I have one question from Paulo, who was also hearing us. Is Lean Six Sigma important to be an entrepreneur?
Is
What
Lean Six
do you
Sigma?
want me to try and answer this question first?
Do you want to, or should I?
Doesn't matter.
Okay, I actually have come up with something in my curriculum. In my curriculum, I have added the Lean Startup. I would say that you should read the Lean Startup series. And in my curriculum, even in Greenbelt, I've added the Lean Startup concept because I believe that you can't be actually, it's important. Because Lean Six Sigma traditionally has also evolved. The subject area has also evolved. So if you are going to become an entrepreneur, then having that subset of knowledge is very important. And Lean Six Sigma essentially makes you analytical. It makes you more closer. It makes you more closer to the customer. And one thing which we learned in our master black belt, remember that, Diego, that was quality function deployment. And
Yeah.
quality function deployment is all about product development. It's all about developing something from scratch. So if you are developing something from scratch, then yes. And similarly, in the Lean Startup, is something which we call build, measure, learn, build, measure, learn, and you go through the loop, you either find out you small
You
iterations,
are
fast
going good,
iterations, yeah,
or you
and
should,
you yes,
change
you
the way things.
yeah, and you change, you pivot. If you find out that the hypothesis is wrong, you should pivot. And
Yeah,
another thing which I did once I started my business is that I thought, oh, I teach lean startup. How come when I'm using my own, I don't use the same when I'm starting my own business, I'm not using the same methodology?
yeah,
So you need to create solve a problem. If you're an entrepreneur, you need to solve a problem. When you're solving a problem, you need to create a unique value proposition. You need to actually create some way an unfair advantage which you have, which your competitors don't have. So yes, and if you translate the basic concepts into of lean and Six Sigma into entrepreneurship, that's what Eric Ries has done. That's why I've actually added in my curriculum. And
yeah.
yes, I would advise you to study those things.
I agree. So to
Any
see.
other question?
Uh, yeah, we have here another one, which is will Industry 4.0, no, Industry 4.0 will boost Lean Six Sigma application. Maybe I'll answer quickly
Yeah.
because people maybe are already struggling with so much talk. But maybe I'll answer this one. Yes, I think that yes, Industry 4.0 will boost Lean Six Sigma, namely in the analyzed part. I think that a bigger concern in this particular phase of the mic cycle is that we must analyze data in order to correlate variables and see and get the actual root cause. And I think that Industry 4.0 IoT, they will allow us to get more data and not any data, because we all know these new ways that is emerging, but I think that with some kind of algorithms, the analyze part very well programmed will help us on the analyze phase and make it more automatic, so people without a big and deep knowledge of Six Sigma or of the analyze part in particular will be much more easy. This process will be much more easier with Industry 4.0. At least that's what I think.
Yes, that's right. And 4.0 is heavily about data sciences, machine learning, artificial intelligence. What's the basis of them? The basis of them is understanding statistics and using statistics properly in the right manner. That skill set you get from Lean Six Sigma belt trainings, and you get that skill set from there, and then you become better when you practice it. So
Yeah,
obviously, it's going to actually boost Six Sigma, because it's not gonna take it away. It would actually complement it. These new things would make Lean Six Sigma even more relevant than before.
for sure. Toosy, I think that's all, I guess.
Okay.
And thank you very much again for your invitation. Hopefully, people in the audience also enjoyed, and I've seen here some comments that yes. Thank you again, all. And yeah, let's hope for our next live session or webinar. So,
Yes.
Toosy, again, thank you.
Thank you, Diogo.
And bye bye, everyone.
Bye.